Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot, and welcome to our reading that is going to be all about you. Here is one of my favorite readings of the whole week, and we're starting out with an energy check on you, but really, this is like a to be continued from the last one. If you recall from the last one, you had this very graceful energy about you. And it wasn't because you were doing little. You're actually, it's graceful because of when you take into consideration how much you were actually doing and what it looked like. So we're going to take a look and see where you are now, get that energy check, see where you are in your overall journey, and then let's understand what's going to help you out most in your current situation. So everyone's in a slightly different situation, but we've been watching it develop. It's been kind of an interesting development over the past several, well, I mean, it depends on how far back you want to go, but for the past few weeks, we've been watching a lot culminate. A lot of the work that you've been doing has caused you to kind of move to a next level. And so let's go ahead and see where you are right now. We know that you're in a place where you kind of, you aren't accepting less than your worth anymore, which I think is ultimately a very positive thing. This is one of the reasons that you were here learning the lessons that you were learning. It's about self-worth, you know. And so we had the pulling your head out of your ego element in the Scorpio season. And one of the things that I think, like, you are one of the people who, or you, the collective, really benefited from this, because I think what we noticed was your ego was keeping you safe. It was well, it always keeps you safe, but it was keeping you small. It was keeping you kind of in a smaller space. And so now you get a chance to see what you're made of. And it's a slow process, but a good process. So let's take a look. We've got the Guardian of the Night Tarot and the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. And then here we have the Illustrated Herbiary. This is where we're going to start. Grabbing you an oracle card. And the first card that comes out for you here is the card of resurrection. The California Poppy. This is a card of resurrection because it has to do with resurrecting something that maybe you did not think was ever coming back, or didn't realize had fallen into disuse. That's really what it feels like. It feels like having fallen into disuse more than anything else. It's resurrecting a concept or a kind of a part of you that maybe has laid dormant for a long time. You know, I get the sense that it has lain dormant for a long time and just sort of maybe you didn't know it was coming back. I get the sense, though, that it really is something that surprises you a little bit, but maybe doesn't surprise excuse me, doesn't surprise other people. Interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and start out with this energy check with you. You had that graceful energy going on last time. I remember that. A lot has brought you to this place. Card of Temperance in the reverse. Temperance in the reverse saying you're not there yet. There is definitely some sense of balance that has not yet happened. This feels more like a nuanced change is needed than a huge change. You've been making a lot of the large structural kinds of changes over the last few weeks, last few months. And now you're talking about still not having, like, something's off a click. It's not off a whole bunch. I also get the sense that you are fairly calm as you look to resolve this. As you look to resolve what this is, you're incredibly calm, where others will look at you, and this is where you're going to have that sense of grace. You have a card of judgment, knowing when you're walking in the right direction and when you're not. There is something new, and this is something that has also happened with your person. So whether you're in contact with this person or you never expect to be in contact with this person again, or somewhere in the middle, or any one of these fine options that you could possibly have, there is definitely this sense of walking in a direction that feels like no matter who's watching, no matter who's there, no matter who's looking, you're going to be doing the right thing. A Five of Pentacles now. This is where you start to take a look at the edges of your healing, but you do so from within a safe place. You're giving yourself the safe parameters within which you get to look at what you need to see as far as like where you still are in your healing. So where are you as far as being able to trust? Where are you with regard to trusting too much, trusting too easily? We're going to take a look at where you are in your journey, but this is where you are going to start to get some situations that come toward you that give you a feel for where you are with that, with regard to trust, abandonment, betrayal, rejection, and just kind of seeing, what is your progress and what is it. It's going to outline your progress for you, but I do not get the sense necessarily that you are going to get, here's your next lesson as a result of it. It's more just kind of leaves you hanging and saying, well, yeah, I guess I could learn a little bit more there. I guess I could use a little bit more in that area, that sort of thing. Again, this feels like slow process, but it also feels like there's not a fire lit under you to learn anything about this at this time. It's more of a slow learning, slow burning. Warrior of Wands in the reverse. Watch for someone to come in and give you an energy similar to what you have recently recovered from. And I mean, this is going to look like maybe even the way your divine masculine looked when they first came in, and you look at it and you are wiser this time. When you see those red flags, you understand what you're looking at, and you are not in as much danger of running into that. So I think you're bringing that energy in again, possibly even manifesting it in some cases. You've got this Seven of Pentacles. Here we go. Seven of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles in the upright, Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. This has to do with figuring out the edges of that healing. Where haven't you figured it out? What haven't you done? This person who is coming in to teach you some lessons, or who is basically coming in to show how much you've learned and how much maybe you still have to learn. I feel like that's the energy that's happening right now. You've been bathing in the light of truth and learning how to live in uncertainty. You are in a place where you are not prioritizing things quite the same way as you were a couple months ago. Maybe you're in the process of letting go, across the fall of letting go. That's why these cards are up. For those of you who are brand new, we have monthly themes, and that's what this is. This is our Scorpio theme. So we'll have a Sagittarius theme coming out before too long. And then here, this is our seasonal theme. So it actually came out as the Spirit Guardian of Autumn, right as we were moving into the fall. It came out in someone's reading, and it just was so bright and had to stay here. Because it was a concept that had come up already and was continuing to unfold about letting go, about prioritizing things differently this time so that you don't end up in the same position. The card of the moon here has to do with not bothering to keep the mystery, but also being super clear about your boundaries. There is no, this person who comes in and treats you similarly to the way you've been treated in the past before you healed, though, they're going to see a very different response now compared with before you healed. And I think that this is kind of what it looks like. They don't walk away wondering if they got away with it. They don't walk away wondering about that. There is definitely this very real human sense of you being human in front of others, but I don't feel like that creates a problem. I feel like this is that very sense of using your essence to open doors, which is something that you've kind of been hearing for a little while now. Celebrate yourself, celebrate your own essence. Put it out there. This is really not about putting your ego out in front of you. This is about dropping that ego, no longer keeping that extra layer between you and the source, becoming yourself in a whole new way. So you've got the Revolution card, which is effectively the Tower. This is a big change that happens, and things are just not the same afterwards. It's a fairly traditional meaning for this. This is the Revolution card, which is the equivalent of the Tower in traditional tarot. So it's got that same sense, that same feeling of something that is not going to be the same afterwards, emotional upheaval. I think you've got this. I don't wonder if you've got this. We've got a Seven of Cups in the reverse and the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. But because of this level of uncertainty that you've come to and you've gotten more comfortable with, it's not going to phase you very much. I see change coming and I see you flowing with it fairly, not necessarily, I don't want to say it's easy, but I want to say you make it look easy. I guess that's kind of what you had going on with your graceful energy last time. You do make it look easy. But I also feel like you're genuinely unconcerned about the level of change that's coming to you right now. You have a very been there, done that sort of vibe about you, but I feel like you're going to use that as an opportunity to see where you are. The things that are coming in, you'll use them as an opportunity to see where you are, what you've learned, what's to come, what you still need to do. And you're manifesting energy in for yourself. Some of it feels like it is something you've already done. I don't want to use the term beneath you, but it's almost like it's beneath you. So can't tell if you're not filtering out or if this is something that's more deliberate. So let's see where you are in your journey. Let's see where you are in your journey, because I think that's what you're about to see a little bit more of. The Hierophant. Here comes a teacher, a spiritual teacher who may or may not take a form that you would expect. Interesting. So I think that the people in this collective are generally fairly adept at being able to say, I don't assume my teacher is going to come in a specific form. And that said, even though maybe you can say that, this is possibly going to surprise you. I feel like you're going to realize it after the fact. You have a Knight of Cups. This is, what are you manifesting in? Because this kind of feels a little bit like, this feels like we've got a new soulmate reading coming up, and this is new soulmate energy. I don't know that it's new person, but especially given this Mercury retrograde energy, some of what we've seen there and some of what we've noted that you are seeing that change coming in with that divine masculine. It's hard to say if you might be seeing that or possibly be seeing others from the past. There's a cycle that wants to be called out right now. And it feels like this is where you are in your journey, where you're likely to be called out in this cycle. Doesn't necessarily mean anything bad happens. It's like you may be the only one that sees it and knows it and just kind of nods to yourself and says, okay, I do see it. I do know it. I'm not falling for this. I am seeing the red flags. That is something that kind of came up over there. And the thing is, depending on how they respond when you say, hey, this is not acceptable, this is outside of the boundaries that I'll accept, they may watch to see what happens. Watch to see what happens when you express that boundary, because the thing is, the fact that this person is maybe giving you inappropriate behavior to start with does not necessarily mean that they can't find their way to those boundaries. So you have a Nine of Cups here, kind of talking about those boundaries. Has a little to do with the fact that you've seen some things in your time, not necessarily immediately like right now, but you've seen some things in your time that have probably changed the way that you handle things going forward. But that's not bad. I mean, I feel like that's going to be part of what helps you move into this new place where it starts to look like you're showing off, and I don't feel like you are. You've got the Four of Wands in the reverse. You're just good at it. You're good at operating in a situation that is a lot of unknowns, a lot of uncertainty. That is something that you have been being trained on over, honestly, the last few years, but you're getting good at it. And it almost looks like you're showing off, but I don't get the sense that you are. Okay, so you get the card of the Freedom card in the reverse. This is very much a mental lack of freedom. A mental lack of freedom. That is what this feels like to me. This feels a little bit like not giving yourself a fair shake. Make sure that you are not allowing yourself to fall to those those things that you might say to yourself, that inner voice. Don't let yourself fall to that inner voice that makes you small, diminishes you, and makes you hide behind your ego. The whole point of this here recently has been to kind of pull you out from behind that ego and let you be yourself and watch how great that can be. And in some cases, like it does not feel great. There are places in there where you exhibit, you discover that having the freedom might be a little bit, might induce a little bit of fear. That's part of what this uncertainty is that you've been working with. But the thing is, you've also come a long way in becoming more comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. You've got the card of chance here in the reverse. You're being held in place to see something that is important for you, but not necessarily heavy on the timing. So you could be held in place to see this for a little bit. Don't get complacent. This is important because that's something that keeps coming up with the new soulmate energy readings. It's about not getting complacent because you will get kind of pulled back to remind you, hey, no, you still have some things that you have to work through. You've got the Three of Pentacles in the reverse, which is to say that there will be some kind of conflict coming up. This conflict only gives you, it's a small conflict. This is a good thing. It's a small conflict, and it's not going to destroy anything if you do poorly with the way you handle the conflict, but it does give you a lot of opportunity to handle something well, that somebody is going to be afraid that they have offended you, and you're not going to be offended, and you're going to be able to be very graceful about that. I think that makes a big difference, and it sets a different site. It sets a different type of groundwork for your interaction going forward, not just with this person that you have this situation with, but also for those they interact with or that see it. So you've got the card of introspection. A lot of you have been spending some time in personal introspection, and it's been, in some cases, even right out in the middle of your family, in the middle of, I talked to a lady the other day who said, I have 3 children under the age of 5. So introspection is like, I just am not telling anybody that I'm in there. You know, I'm doing the work, but I'm doing the work of my household, but I'm also very much spending the time. I'm giving myself that energy within, you know. And I realized when I had 2 children, I only ever had 2 children under the age of 5. And I don't know that I did as conscientious of a job as she did. I feel like that's a tough thing to do sometimes when you've got a lot going on, whether it's kids or work or life or, you know, any of the things that can be coming in there. Being able to take that time for yourself is critical, but it's also, I think, more challenging sometimes. But not always. I think sometimes it can be challenging because you don't have a lot going on, because maybe you respond to things that are pushing you. So you've got the Four of Pentacles here in the reverse as well. It's about letting go, and it's about letting go of concepts that they don't even obviously hold you back. Like, they hold you back, but it's not obvious that they do. Allow yourself to be free of these. The faster you can let go of these, the more wonderful your experience is going to be. I don't know how much I think it actually does hasten your process, but I don't know how much. I think it's more the experience of that process that's going to change and improve. You have a Two of Wands in the reverse, a significant bridge to cross. Be aware that that's there, okay? So feeling like, don't worry about feeling like you're behind on something. You have a significant enough bridge to cross that you don't yet know about. Okay, you have a bridge coming that you don't know about. You're over here making change look easy. This one is, I feel like you're going to stride right across this bridge. I think you're going to continue making it look easy, but just heads up. This is something that you don't yet know about. You're like manifesting a person in, or manifesting in energy of this new relationship, but you have learning to do that is side by side with that. So it's like that Two of Cups in reverse that we just keep seeing, that tells you that you are going to be walking a parallel path, not a partnership, parallel path with somebody. Okay, so it's not you're doing the same lessons together. Your lessons may look similar, but it is very much you are able to support each other along the way. That's one of those things that keeps coming in with that soulmate energy, that new soulmate energy, and it's taking many, many forms. So just keep in mind here that you have a bridge to cross you haven't yet seen. So definitely going to want to keep your eyes open for that one. I think I'm trying to decide if this is an extended or not, because we don't always do an extended with this one. I think it's actually kind of rare, and it feels kind of like this is going to be relevant to Sagittarius, which we are moving into Sagittarius in about another week. So I think let's take a look as we get closer into that. I think we're not ready to go with this right now. But I'm curious to know about this bridge that you don't yet know is there. So we've got you very much still being tested in your ability to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. So let's get you some advice and what's going to be most helpful to your endeavor at this time. I feel like the people who are getting personal readings right now are basically getting something that I hope you're seeing this. This is important backdrop to put with that personal reading. Okay, so Four of Swords here in the reverse. Recognize you have some opportunity. It shows up all over this reading. You have opportunity to figure out what you haven't quite done, what the areas are of your healing not yet complete. Now, it may be that you've got something that you've worked on and you're not yet all the way there with it. You need to trim the edges off of some of your healing or shine something up. I mean, I definitely get that as a possibility, but this is... Take the opportunity. This is going to be one of the less painful opportunities to make great strides. Kind of been hearing that. We've got the moon here in the reverse. Put it all out there. Show yourself. Be yourself. Allow yourself to be out in front. Doesn't matter what anyone thinks, and you will benefit from that. It'll just be like a fun experience, more than like things that are things you have to do end up feeling less like work and more like fun. With the King of Cups, this is about your own levels of charisma rising because you no longer are hiding energetically behind some of that ego energy. Keep that up. That's basically what this is. It's encouragement there. Let me see what I dropped. Okay. Once again, you get the Sun. You get movement toward happiness. You are encouraged to make your decisions based on what is actually going to drive your life the way that you want for it to go right now. What is actually going to... There is an opportunity here to reduce the noise between you and your source, between you and your higher self, your higher power, and this is absolutely a recommendation that you take it, but you can feel your way by looking for the happiness. You have an Eight of Swords in the reverse telling you not to overthink it. You have an Eight of Cups in the reverse telling you to look behind you for lessons that you have partially learned, but the answers from those previous lessons are what's going to help you move forward, but not to overthink it, which is kind of a tough balance to strike sometimes, and I feel like that is absolutely acknowledged here. So we have a Nymph of Cups. Nymph of Cups is kind of an interesting card here. It feels like a page. Something about operating without some kind of apology that you are telling yourself that you expect not to get, and you wouldn't think you would even need it. But there is something deeper in there that makes you kind of still, on some level, want that apology. This is you getting to a place where you no longer prioritize that. So this is finding closure, but it's here for the taking. Let's see what I dropped. Justice card. Stop at nothing to move toward that balance, even if it means discomfort for a while. Recognizing that that discomfort may wear off. So This is kind of a weird little story, but I used to do ergonomic adjustments for people that sat in like office settings. Okay, so to make sure like their angles of their keyboards and their body and everything like was flattering to their, so that they weren't hurting themselves, making the space fit them instead of making them fit the space, essentially. And one of the things that you would do if you change something, then they would often complain, well, this feels very uncomfortable. And I would say, please give me 3 days with this. And then afterwards, call me. And if you still really don't like it, then we'll make a change. And oftentimes I would not end up coming back after that, because it would take about 3 days for their body to get used to it and say, oh, this is actually an improvement. No, you're right. It's unusual, but it's an improvement. This is that recommendation that you wait your proverbial 3 days. It may not be 3 days, whatever it is. Watch for a little bit of discomfort and recognize that that may just be part of the process. Let me see what I just dropped before I started telling that story. Okay, 10 of Cups. Okay, you're ready to start dreaming again. Some of you never stop dreaming, but you definitely need to start writing some of it down. So if you haven't been writing it down, absolutely begin writing it down and start setting some concrete goals. That's about what time this is. So I don't know that this is in like preparation for the new year or anything, but start writing some concrete goals, because you've been sitting in this time of truth, sitting in this time of uncertainty. You're now in a place where that resurrection energy starts to benefit. It starts to dawn. You're starting already to benefit a little bit from this letting go sort of energy. This is where you start making your goals and writing them down. So that feels very much like hard advice for you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up now. I know we're doing a Divine Masculine deep dive tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. And then we also have the new soulmate energy coming out. There's been a lot of interplay between the two. And here we see energy that you are bringing in regardless of who that energy is attached to. So we'll get a closer look at those energies here in the next couple of readings. But for now, thank you very much for being here with me, and look forward to seeing you guys again in the next reading.